What if the disease eating holes into a brain wasn't caused by a virus or a bacteria at all, but by a single protein that simply folded the wrong way? Prion proteins are the strangest sickness ever found. They carry no DNA, they carry no RNA, they should not be able to spread, yet they do. A misfolded prion can touch a normal protein and force it to twist into the same broken shape. One wrong fold becomes two becomes 1,000. Within months, millions of proteins scattered across the entire brain have all been silently rewritten into that same broken, twisted pattern. And soon, a brain looks like a sponge full of holes, full of silence where memory used to live, where personality used to live, where an entire human being used to live. Scientists call this a protein that behaves like it is alive, even though by every normal definition of life, it is not alive at all and never was. But what if that strange behavior exists because it is not a mistake in biology at all? What if a misfolded prion is a corrupted line of code inside a simulation? A glitch that copies itself across a network of cells the same way a virus spreads across a computer system, overwriting file after file until the whole system fails. In this video, we are going to look at prion proteins through the lens of simulation theory and ask if the human brain is really just a rendering engine built to display a life rather than create one, and if prion disease is what happens when that render starts to break down from the inside out. If you're ready to uncover the truth behind our simulated universe, hit like and subscribe to join us on a journey through the mysteries of simulation theory. Let's get started. Simulation theory suggests that everything we experience, every sound, every color, every memory, is generated by a system running underneath reality, the same way a video game renders a world on a screen for a player to explore. Most people who talk about simulation theory point to physics, to quantum mechanics, to strange particle behavior that only makes sense if measurement itself changes the outcome. But there is another place to look, and that is inside the human brain itself, the very organ that renders our experience of being alive, moment by moment, thought by thought. Prion proteins were discovered in the 1980s by a scientist named Stanley Prusiner, who found something that broke every rule of biology at the time. A protein with no genetic material that could still spread disease from one brain to another, and even from one species to another. Won him a Nobel Prize, but it also left a mystery that science still cannot fully explain to this day, a mystery that continues to puzzle researchers in laboratories around the world. How does a protein remember a shape and pass that exact shape onto others without any written code telling it how to do so? Today we understand more about prion disease than ever before, from the exact way it forms to the way it spreads through neural tissue, cell by cell, region by region, brain by brain, yet the deepest question underneath it all remains completely unanswered even now. Why would a simulated universe need a mechanism like this at all? A hidden process that can quietly corrupt a mind from within. In the next few minutes, we are going to explore the science of prion proteins, the terrifying diseases they cause in humans and animals, and the simulation theory explanation that some researchers and thinkers believe fits the evidence better than anything modern medicine has offered so far. Stay with us, because what we uncover next will change the way you think about your own mind and what it is truly made of. Now, here is the deep problem at the heart of prion disease. A prion is not alive. It cannot reproduce on its own the way bacteria or viruses do. It has no instructions written in DNA, no genetic blueprint of any kind. And yet it spreads through a brain like a wildfire, turning healthy, normally folded proteins into broken copies of itself, one after another, cell after cell. Imagine a single line of corrupted code hidden deep inside a massive computer program, invisible to anyone scanning the surface. That code does nothing on its own, sitting silently among millions of working lines. But the moment it touches working code, it rewrites it to match its own broken pattern, and that new corrupted line goes on to corrupt the next one. This is exactly how a prion behaves inside a living brain. Scientists call this process templated misfolding, but simulation theory offers a simpler and far stranger explanation, a corrupted render instruction copying itself across a network of stored memory. Think about diseases like Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease in humans, or mad cow disease in cattle, or scrapie in sheep. In every single case, the brain becomes riddled with holes, like a sponge left out in the hot sun, and the person or animal slowly loses memory, movement, personality, and finally life itself, piece by piece, day by day. Why would evolution allow a single protein to have this much destructive power over an entire nervous system, a power that no virus or bacteria can match? Why does a broken shape spread instead of simply breaking down and disappearing on its own, the way damaged proteins normally do inside a healthy cell? If our reality truly is a simulation, prion disease may be the closest thing we have to a visible system error, a crack in the render of human consciousness that we can actually observe under a microscope. And if that is true, then the human brain may not be the true source of our thoughts at all, only the screen where those thoughts are displayed for us to experience. Picture a hospital room quiet except for the soft beep of a monitor. A patient sits quietly, unable to speak, unable to recognize the people around her who have loved her for years. Her brain scan shows tiny holes scattered across the tissue like a sponge left out to dry in the sun. Doctors call it spongiform encephalopathy, a clinical name for a condition that feels almost impossible to believe. It is one of the most feared diagnoses in medicine because there is no cure, no treatment, and no way to stop the spread once it truly begins. Now imagine that brain as a piece of hardware running a simulation of a human life, a life full of memories, relationships, and a sense of self. The holes are not random damage scattered by chance. They are missing frames, deleted sections of a render that used to hold memory and identity moment by moment. As the prion spreads, more and more of that render fails until entire sections of the person's inner world go permanently dark, one room of the mind after another, closing off forever, never to be reopened. This is not just a metaphor used for dramatic effect, it is a pattern that researchers have documented again and again under controlled laboratory conditions. Simulation theorists point to the exact way prion damage spreads cell by cell, template by template, in a perfectly repeatable pattern as proof that biology is following a coded instruction set rather than a random chemical process. Ask yourself this question honestly. If a broken shape can rewrite a working protein without any written instructions at all, what does that say about how information is truly stored in a living system? Could it mean that shape itself is a form of code waiting to be read and copied by whatever system renders our reality moment to moment? And if a corrupted shape can spread through a brain unnoticed for years before any symptom ever appears, what other corrupted code might already be spreading quietly through the render of our world, waiting patiently for the day it finally shows itself to us all? Here is where the evidence becomes very hard to ignore, no matter how skeptical you might be walking into this. Prion proteins violate what scientists call the central dogma of biology, the fundamental rule that information flows from DNA to RNA to protein and never the other way around. Brains break that rule completely, and they do it inside a living brain every single time they spread silently and without any warning sign at all. They carry no genetic code whatsoever, yet they transmit a functional pattern from one protein to another with total, repeatable precision. In computer terms, this is identical to a self-replicating instruction, a piece of code that does not need a full program to copy itself, only a single target to overwrite before moving on quietly to the next one in line. Simulation theorists argue that biology should not be capable of this kind of transmission at all, unless there is an underlying information layer hidden beneath the chemistry, a layer that behaves exactly like a hidden data structure inside a running computer simulation. Even more striking, prion diseases can lie completely dormant for decades before any symptom ever appears at all, exactly like a corrupted file sitting untouched in storage, waiting quietly until the moment it is finally accessed and executed by the system running underneath it. Researchers have shown that different prion strains produce completely different symptoms depending on their exact folded shape, meaning the shape itself carries specific repeatable information, almost like a stored variable inside a running program, a variable that determines exactly how the disease will unfold. If a protein with no DNA at all can carry precise, repeatable information through its shape alone, then shape itself may be the true language of our simulated reality, a language written directly into the structure of matter, waiting silently for the right condition to finally run its hidden code. Prion proteins remain one of the strangest, most unsettling mysteries in all of biology, a mystery hiding in plain sight inside every human brain. A molecule with no genetic code that spreads disease by simply touching another molecule and forcing it to change its shape forever. Traditional science calls this process templated misfolding a strange but supposedly natural chemical event. Simulation theory calls it something else entirely, a corrupted instruction spreading quietly through the deepest layer of our own rendered minds. We looked at how prion disease creates holes in the human brain, how those holes may represent missing frames in a simulated consciousness that once held memory and identity, and how the very existence of shape-based information transfer suggests our reality may be built on code rather than chemistry alone, a possibility that mainstream science has barely begun to consider seriously. The next time you hear about a prion disease in the news, remember that you are not just hearing about a rare and tragic medical illness affecting one unlucky family. You may be hearing about a visible glitch in the very system that renders your entire reality, moment by moment. Every fold, every shape, every silent spread through a brain may be a signal from the deeper code beneath our world, reminding us that nothing about our minds is as solid, as stable, or as random as it seems on the surface. Keep questioning what your mind truly is, because the answer may be far closer to a program running quietly on hidden hardware than a person living a truly independent life of their own choosing. What do you think is really happening inside a prion-damaged brain, deep beneath the surface of memory and thought? Let us know your honest thoughts on prion proteins and simulation theory down in the comments below. If this idea fascinates you, check out our other video on quantum entanglement and the simulated universe, where we explore another strange hidden glitch sitting quietly in plain sight right beneath our feet, waiting to be noticed. If you enjoyed this exploration of simulation theory, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. And if you're ready for more interesting content on the simulation theory, make sure to check out our other videos. Thank you for watching.